Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our Entrepreneurs Being More for Wednesday, April 20th of 2022. We have an exciting series going. I hope that you are enjoying it. We're looking at something that I know we're all interested in, and that's results. And we've been talking about achieving results in our Nikken business in three areas: income, influence, and community. And we're starting out with this first area of income. And we've been breaking down income into actionable items, strategies, skills, things we can do in the here and now to develop and build our income. And we're going to be looking at recruitment, rank advancement, and retail, the three R's of building a team and building a Nikken business. And we've been focusing on this first area, this primary area of recruitment. And Ben Woodward has been helping take us through steps, finding, inviting, presenting, following up, helping people make the commitment to become a consultant or a customer. And we're going to continue that journey tonight by looking at the idea of getting people started right and what it is we do once people have made that commitment to become a customer or a consultant, how we then help them take next steps in making their journey as pleasant, as interesting, as challenging, as fun as possible, and to make sure that they're getting started in a way that can help them build a great foundation and a long sustainable future with Nikken and their Nikken business. So Ben, we're excited to have you here with us again this evening.
Thank you. Great to be with everyone today. And I'm not sure about you, but I've certainly been enjoying these Wednesday evening calls where we're really getting into a structured flow of the very beginning part, identifying our vision, goals, aspirations, all the way through to the hands-on applicable kind of skills to get someone working, functioning, succeeding, thriving. Tonight, like Jeff said, we're going to talk about how to get someone started right. And I'm going to start off by holding this book up. I'm not sure how many of you have access to this or have a copy of this book. I can see the ensigns nodding their head there. And Jeannie as well. This book here, if you haven't used it yet, Barbara, yeah, people are holding it up, they've got their copies. This has really become the handbook of our industry. It's really simply written, very practical, very step-by-step, easy to follow, easy to understand. And I want to emphasize this book tonight because one of the things that this teaches me as I refer to it, and I'm deliberately trying to convey in our message this evening, is we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to start from scratch in creating every single tool we use. I want to emphasize that because sometimes, if we're not as connected, if you don't have a strong connection to your upline or your direct sponsor, we go, where do I go? What do I do? Chances are, whatever skill you're wanting to learn, whatever practice you're needing to understand, there's probably a book on it, there's probably a training video on it, there's probably something out there online that you can access and you can compile. So I'm going to share some steps tonight from this book, but I'm going to put it in the context of Nikken specifically. And with that, I'm going to share my screen and share some tools that I've put together and that I use that complement the steps here that Eric Worre outlines. After this call is finished, I'm going to send all the files over that I talk about and share tonight to Jeff, so he can share them all with you if you want to use them as well. So you'll have everything that I'm using too. Does that sound good? So I want to start out tonight by talking about, again, as we're getting started, what do we do to help someone get started right? The first thing that you want to do is understand this critical principle. How much work have you put in to getting someone to the point where they sign a contract and agree to join Nikken? How much effort goes into that process? There's a lot, right? And yet so many times we put all that effort in to getting someone to the point that we go, they've crossed the line, they've joined the business, woohoo. And then we sit back and relax, but the job isn't over. It's really only just begun. Okay, so how often have you brought someone into the business, you're excited about that, and then they do little to nothing? How many times have you seen that either in your team or in teams around you, and you go, what's going on? All that work, and then they stop, right? Doesn't make sense. We want to avoid that. And much of that can be avoided in the messages that we give in the recruitment process. Again, if we follow the steps that we've talked about in previous calls, we can mitigate or minimize that sense of apathy or disconnect that many distributors join with, right? We want to avoid that as much as possible. So hopefully you've given some strong messages as you followed the processes we've talked about in our previous calls. Now they've joined, they've signed the contract, they're in the business, they have their Nikken ID, they've got their PWP all set up. What do we do? What's the first thing we want to do? The first thing you want to do within 24 hours of them joining the business is have a meeting with your new recruit. Get on the phone with them, get on the Zoom call with them. If they're in close proximity, face-to-face is even better, okay? But if you can't meet face-to-face in person, face-to-face in Zoom is essential. And I would say face-to-face over a phone call, you want to be able to see their expressions. You want to be able to watch their body language. Again, your job of understanding where they're at and getting a strong feel for their commitment continues on after they've signed the contract. A friend of mine once gave a great example that applies in this business. He said, why did the man fall out of the window? He said, well, he was more out than in. Right? Really simple. He was more out than in. Why do people fall out of Nikken? It's really simple. They were more out than in. So our task, once we bring them in by getting them to sign the contract, is to keep them in, keep them away from the ledge, keep them away from that line. And the reality is that line never really goes away, does it? It's always there, lurking in the background. Maybe it's hidden away somewhere. Every now and then it might pop up and rear its ugly head, but it's always there. So there's certain things we need to do to keep them away from that line, keep them in the business, and to prevent them from falling out of the window. So the first thing that you want to do, like I said, within 24 hours, you've got this meeting, you're now on Zoom with them. What do you say? What are the conversation pieces? What do you give them? What are the tools? First thing is, you want to spend at least a couple of minutes congratulating them on the decision that they've made and reinforce the value and benefit of this choice. Okay, so let's help get their mind in the right place, give them those reassurance messages, let them know how pleased you are with that decision, congratulate them, give them plenty of positive reinforcement. That's a really important first step. The next thing you want to do, point 2, is you want to establish correct expectations. What are these expectations? Let me tell you what they shouldn't be first, and then we'll jump into what they should be afterwards. Sometimes we might say something like, as business partners, we're going to build this business together. Is that right or wrong? It's wrong. We don't build their business. What we do when we say that is we establish a false expectation. I'm going to build the business for you. Or we might even say, and maybe you've heard this too, since I get paid off of your results, I kind of work for you, right? So put me to good use, right? And maybe we're positioning ourselves with good intent, but we're actually setting ourselves up for failure there. Because what we're doing is we're helping them understand an incorrect belief that their success depends on you and their failure depends on you also. If they get results, thank you, it's because you're working my business. If I'm not getting results, what are you doing wrong as my sponsor? You see how that crumbles very quickly? So what we want to do is set the right expectations. And the expectations go something like this. I'm going to quote what Eric says here because it's just word perfect. If you succeed in this business, it's going to be because it's going to be you who creates the success, not me. And if you fail in this business, it's going to be you that creates the failure, not me. I like that. You are going to be the difference between success and failure in your business. I want us to make sure when we introduce new people to the business that we establish that really clearly. You are what makes this successful, and if it fails, it's you that made it fail. All right? I am a resource to you, but my goal is to help you become independent of me as quickly as possible so that you can have full confidence in the way that you build your business. So we want to set those expectations right. I'm here to support you. I'm here to be a resource to you, but it's up to you to make the difference. So we want to establish that right out the gate. We do not work for them. We do not build the business for them. We are a resource to them, and our goal is to help them to become independent as quickly as possible. And you can ask that question to your team, to your new recruit in this process. How quickly would you like to be independent in building your own business? Or you might put it another way, which is a great way of putting it. For how long would you like to be dependent on me in order to get the right results? Yeah, they're going to go, yeah, I don't want to be dependent on you for ages. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I want to be a resource to you, but you want to understand in building your business, this is your business and it's your efforts, your activity that will determine the results. Okay. So you want to get the balance correct there in establishing the right expectations. After you've done that, the next thing you want to do is go through a checklist. And oh, hang on, let me hold back here. This is an important point. At some point along the way, your new recruit is going to get some bumps in the road. Yeah, they're going to get demotivated. They're going to get discouraged. So while they're in that prime position of being a brand new recruit, hungry, thirsty, enthusiastic, and energetic, this is what you want to say. You want to say something to the effect of, and I'm glad we're recording this, but you can certainly turn to the book as well, because I'm paraphrasing what Eric Worre says, but I've used this language since my 20s in other environments as well as here. You want to say something to the effect of this. Yeah, as you build your Nikken business, there's going to be ups and downs, peaks and troughs. And I expect that sometimes you're going to get, from time to time, a bump in the road that's going to knock you off course. You may get discouraged or dejected. Now, I'm going to know when you're in that space by your activity. It might mean that you're not so quick to respond to my calls. Yeah, maybe you're not showing up for meetings. Maybe you're not turning up at events. Okay, when these things happen, how would you like me to respond? What would you like me to do? Do you want me just to leave you alone and let you drift away? Or would you like me to get involved and shake you up a little bit and get you back on the right path? What do you want? What do you think they're going to say while they're feeling motivated and committed to their goals? They're going to say, oh, stop me, shake me up, get me on track. Absolutely. Okay, so I have your permission to do that? Yes, you do. Fantastic, thank you. This is a really important point to establish when they get started, because are they going to get to that place at some point in the journey? Yes, they are, without a doubt. But then when that time comes, and then you shake them up a little bit and say, hey, what's going on? You're not responding to my calls. You didn't show up at the last meeting. You didn't turn up to the Seiko Kai event. You didn't jump on Master Day. What's happening? What's going on? Right? If they get a little bit uncomfortable, then you can refer back to this conversation and say, hey, okay, let me just clarify. I'm not here to make you feel guilty in any way. But do you remember when you first joined and we had this conversation? We said there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be some obstacles. And there may be some times where you might get derailed a little bit. We talked about this, didn't we? And you gave me permission to shake you up a little bit. Do you still want me to do that? Right? See how you can then refer back to the authority and permission that they gave you. Yeah. So we talked about this. You said that you wanted me to do this. Did I misunderstand this? It's a real polite way to get right, very clear, very quickly. And they can go, oh, no, okay, no, I did want you to do that. Okay, so what are we dealing with here? How can I help? Okay. So that's really important. This is a critical part of establishing expectations right out of the gate. Okay. The next thing you want to do is create a checklist. Okay. Now I've got a couple of checklists that I'm going to bring up on my screen. Let me make sure I've got them handy. Okay, here we go. So here is the first easy checklist. I'm going to go through, I'm going to share with you two. Okay. You'll have seen this before. Does that look familiar to you? Your strategy chart, your first 90 days. Okay. This is a 2-page document. I'm going to email this to you, or it may be a matter of putting it in a Dropbox because it is a big file. But this is something that is definitely worth your time. You can put up here in the left-hand corner the name of your sponsor, their contact details, today's date, your monthly targets for the first 30 days and for the next couple of months. You can see here, I might need to scroll down. Your process, you can put in your name, your goal for when you're going to go silver or gold, the customers that you're going to go out and get, and then again, the people that you're going to introduce, and again, their goals, next level, and so on. And to make it easy to build that out, on the second page, you've got your what we call our $1 million list. This $1 million list is basically helping you identify all the people that you can reach out to and contact. You want to help them establish their priority in terms of their location, their resources. Are they entrepreneurial? This helps you to rate them. You know, how would you rate them as an entrepreneur, as a person of influence, as someone that has resources, and someone that is in a great location in connection to building with you? Okay, so this is a really beneficial tool that you can use. Okay, and this really helps them get started nice and simple in identifying what they can do to get started straight away. You want them filling in that list as soon as possible and getting that plan mapped out. There's another document. I sent this out last week. Give me a second. I want to make sure that I've got the right one up. Bear with me one second. I'm going to quickly pull this up. I'm going to, okay, do another share screen. Bear with me 1 minute. I'm doing a bit of screen sharing today. Okay, this is the printed version, or the print ready version, I should say, which means you can go out and you can get this, take this to a local printer. You can see it's got its crop marks and it's all mapped out in order of being print ready. But you can get them to fill this in as well. Your first 48 hours, you want them to fill in this document here, and it helps them in establishing what products they're going to purchase for themselves, kickstarting their business for demos, loaners, quick sales, that type of thing, setting their goals. How much do they want to earn? Their 3 to 5 year goal, monthly, 1 year from now, over the next 3 months, so on and so forth. How much time per week am I going to commit to? Have I done my 100 names list, my top 30 using the $1 million list here? You can see that's the document that I just referred to. And then launch meetings with my sponsor in 1 week's time. The different books that I'm going to purchase. GoPro, you can see I'm referencing that here. It's here in the list. Making the First Circle Work by Randy Gage. It's an excellent book there. So on and so forth. And so I would again recommend that you download this document, use that as a tool and as a resource to help people get started right. And it's a checklist for them to understand what their goals are, their game plan. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, making sure they've got the right products in their own home, products that they can use to demonstrate and to get out there as well. A couple of other documents I want to share with you that I find are helpful that I've put together as well. So let me pull these up. These are Word documents. Okay, so I've got 2 documents here that I use. So bear with me, I'll pull these up. Okay. Okay, so this one here, does this say the Ben Woodward playlist? Are you seeing that? Just to make sure I got the right one. Okay, so this document here is a library of different tools. And Jeff, since I sent this to you prior to the call, I've added a couple of extra ones. So if you disregard this, I'll resend this out to you so that you send the right one out, just as a reference. This one here, I just want to go through So the different tools here that you can use. This is a library that you can give to your downline, to your new sponsors, to help them in feeling confident in developing certain skills. We've got the Better Way presentation. It's a 20-minute business opportunity presentation that they can use. Marketing Claims Masterclass. I'm sure you remember that one that I did a while back, on all the things that they can say and how they can promote and how they can position the product, the opportunity, and so on, without falling foul of making inappropriate claims. This doesn't focus on what they can't say. This isn't a compliance presentation. It's a marketing class. So it's all the things that they can do. How to build your contact list, how to invite, how to resolve concerns, how to introduce yourself and what mistakes to avoid, the weekly connect schedule so they can get a feel for what the classes are on throughout the week and how they can use that to their advantage, getting started right, how to help people get to yes, how to be self-governed and be a self-directed leader, building your business online, how to do that. And I have Heather Abbott there to help me in just doing some very basics. We don't delve into the very deep levels of building online. We've got other classes for that we can have if you want, but this is just a getting started kind of overview on how to build online. What is the most profitable skill and how do we develop that? That's a great one. How to attract more people. And then just some personal development ones, which I think are helpful as well. Purpose in adversity. If you're experiencing challenge or opposition, what is the value of that? What role does it play? And how does it work well? And then that one that I did just recently, the art of persistence. And this helps us understand the DNA of what persistence looks like. It's not simply thick skin. If I'm an introvert, how can I be persistent? Yeah, if I'm a nurturer, if I'm a peacemaker and a peacekeeper by nature, how do I develop persistence? It isn't all about being a thick-skinned salesperson. There are actually some really wonderful virtues that make persistence what it is, that we can develop regardless of our personality type. So this is something that can be helpful to them. Okay, so my next tool that I want to share, I'm going to click off that one, make sure I get onto this one. Okay, do another screen share. This is my final one that I want to share tonight. And that is, these are some of the tools that I use in helping people in the early stages. So this is something that they can use if they're working with prospects. So what is Nikken about? An introduction to Nikken products, the life and balance, that's in English and Spanish. A link to the podcast now that Julie Tara has just launched. I think that's a great tool that we can utilize and sharing again on a different platform when people are in the car, out and about. What is vital wellness? Taking a look, and these last few are by Dave Rolfe. He's put on some great ones recently. Taking a look at Nikken, what to say in getting started, and how to get started in Nikken. These are some extra ones you might want to have a look at. And I've got my masterclass there as well. So I'll send these out again via Jeff after this call so that you've got access to these. But this gives you a wonderful library of video tools and resources to help train your team, but also some links where they can fill in their own business plan. They can use that $1 million list to get started right, use that checklist, and know how to get started strong. Again, right out the gate within those first 24 hours to 48 hours so that you're establishing them strongly. So we've covered a couple of things tonight. Again, when we have that first conversation, we want to establish once they've signed up, you want to have a phone call or a video call or a face-to-face with them within 24 hours of them joining to help them get established with strength. What we don't want to do is sit back and go, great, the job's done. No, we're only just getting started. First thing you want to do, just to reiterate, we want to congratulate them, let them know they've made a great decision, reassure and give them some validation and a pat on the back for making that big decision. Give them a big thank you and a big Nikken hug. And as you welcome them into the Nikken family, the next thing you want to do, to reiterate, establish the right expectations. You do not work for them. You do not run their business for them. The first message I ever gave when I joined Nikken to the field, because I joined, of course, as a sales director, So my first introduction to the field was on stage at a leadership retreat that we had in, I think it was in Greece. And we had this wonderful event. But my first message was, I've got all these markers to work with. How do I work with everyone? I don't. You move, I move. Okay, so if you want to get on my radar, you get there by your activity. And it's the same principle here. You move, I move. You run, I run. I can't run for you, and I won't run your business for you. But understand, your success or failure really depends on you. But I want to be a resource, and I'm here to help, and I'm a partner. How do we work together? Here's your checklist. There's the $1 million list you want to give them that we showed you today. Here's your list as well of your getting your business plan set up and going. So you want to give them that document too. Here's a library of tools. Here's a schedule of events and weekly activities. And within that weekly activity, you've got as well the Seiko Kai event, the Master Day events. You got the kickoff calls that Ruben hosts. You got the entrepreneurs being more events. You got the humans being more meetings that Jeff does. They've got an abundance of support here in recorded trainings that they can look to for specific skills if they're wanting extra help, or one-on-ones with team members, or weekly meetings that will cover all these different types of activities to help them get focused quickly. The key is to plug them in. I want to conclude on this point. I talked before about keeping them away from the ledge. How do we know if someone, why did the person fall out of the window? They were more out than in. What keeps them in? Here's a list of things that can help them stay in. Okay, signing up their first customer, signing up their first distributor, getting their first commission check. No matter how small that check is, it's really something special when you get your first one. Okay, you want to get some quick wins. And the quick wins aren't simply to get some speed, it's to get confidence. It's to get that validation, that physical, tangible proof that I can do this and that it works. Okay, when we get that proof, and that might come as well from showing up to a meeting, turning up to the Master Day event this weekend, making friends with inside the organization, getting to know their sponsor, their upline, the upline's upline, the team around them that's a part of their community. Getting them onto these calls is a great way to feel connected to others. And that, again, helps them stay in and away from the window's edge. Proclaiming their intentions to the world. Get them out there talking about it, using that list, not just filling it in with names, but actually talking to people and sharing their intent. That's a huge one, isn't it? Because when I publicly declare my objectives and my mission, now I'm accountable to someone. Now I've made it public. That really helps as well. And of course, getting a rank advancement, getting up to executive or to silver as soon as possible, winning the Power Start or a Club QI. You've got a monthly target there in month 1, getting the Power Start, and then you've got Club QI for the first quarter that they can be in business. Okay, all of these things help. And this is statistically proven, by the way. If you don't get some of those quick wins under their belt within those first 90 days, chances are they're going to become disengaged and inactive very quickly. If you want them to be active and engaged at the end of the first year, get some of those wins in the first 90 days. When they get that first commission check, those first people sponsored, be it customer or business partner, when they attend those first few meetings, when they get that first commission check, that first rank advancement, that first incentive one, chances are if they're doing that, they're going to be around at the end of the year. Okay, and that's what you want. You want long-term engagement. So keep them away from the line. Okay, so keep that in mind as you build the business with them and get them started strong. So I hope this has been helpful tonight in establishing what we can do to get them started with strength. I've got a little girl here who's just jumped out of the bath, so excuse me. She's at that stage where there's not too much you can do with the hair, so they look a little bit like a snork. But anyway, nonetheless, I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to pass the time back to Jeff. And like I said, after this call is finished, I will get all of those files over to Jeff so he can circulate them so you've got access to them as well. So thank you very much. And I'll pass the time back to you, Jeff.
Ben, thank you. So we will continue our focus on recruiting, rank advancement, and retail as we move forward. Those three components, those three R's that help us to build our team and our business and our check income. We will not be meeting next week because of Nikken Next with our global CEO, Luis Kasuga. So we'll be starting again in May with Entrepreneurs Being More, and we'll be joined by Ben. Yes, Ben?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be joined by Ben again in May, 2 weeks from tonight. I will send you out the documents that Ben has mentioned. So I'll send you an email that has downloadable versions of all the documents. I did just put one in the chat, which is the My Nikken business plan. But no worries, I will send by email all the documents to you shortly. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We'll see everyone in 2 weeks, and we'll see you next week for Nikken Next, and this weekend for Master Day if you are participating. Have a great night, everybody.